Alright guys, how's it going? Miller here, and this one is the 30 Years War Commanders that have just been announced or are due for release for the Pike and Shot Epic Battle range. They have done a selection of 5 commanders for the Catholic Alliance and the Protestant Alliance. Some very nice figures, so let's go and have a look at each of the ranges. Okay guys, so we'll start with the Protestant commanders. So we've got 5 very good selections of commanders. We've got Christian IV of Denmark, Gustav Adolphus, Louis Bourbon, Aki Tot, and Johann Gregor I. All from different nations, or all part of the alliance. Different nations, obviously. Christian of Denmark, Adolphus and Aki both fought for the Swedes, and Louis Bourbon was French. Nice selection. So, and Johann Gregor was for Saxony. So, a big combination of nations that came together to fight for the Protestant cause. So, let's have a look at them individually and find out a bit about them. Okay, so we'll start with this nice looking fella. This is King Christian IV of Denmark. Really nice sculpt, really nice figure. I like the chalice in the hand, very nice look. Don't see many figures with this. I quite like that it's not a sword. Even if you don't use him as what he is, then you can always use him as another commander on a stand with someone else. Christian IV of Denmark was the king, and he led an invasion against the Holy Roman Empire. It wasn't a very successful one. He was backed by England and France, or supported by them and pushed to invade the Holy Roman Empire. France, obviously, because they wanted to try and balance the power, as they were surrounded by what was the Holy Roman Empire, which were known as the Habsburgs, which had Spain and most of what was sort of the German areas. So they were quite surrounded and unsupported. They wanted a balance of power. In England, obviously, didn't like them because they were Catholic. He invaded, but didn't realise that they was going up against larger forces. So he ended up losing, essentially, and the Holy Roman Empire even invaded a bit of Denmark and took quite a bit of the lands. He had to negotiate and settle, so not very good for him, not a very good start for the Protestant side in the 30 Years' War. But yeah, very nice model and one to pick up. Okay, next up is Aki Tot. Excuse me if I've savaged that name, it's not very easily, it's Finnish. He fought for the Swedes. Originally he was a mercenary, but he ended up fighting for the Swedes and became a very prestigious cavalry commander. Very nice figure, very much like the 28mm one that they do. I think he was very much respected by Adolphus, Gustav Adolphus, as he was a very, very, very good commander. And a very nice figure, and definitely another one worth picking up. Next up is a very, very nice figure, is the Gustavus Adolphus. He was King of Sweden and a renowned cavalry commander or general. Again, very, very much like the 28mm figure that they do. Love the pose, jumping over again. He revolutionised the way that war was fought around the time. The way he used artillery, more like cavalry rather than infantry support, running artillery pieces around the battlefield and causing havoc, really. Won many, many victories. Unfortunately died way before his time. Died in a cavalry charge in a battle, which was a great loss for the Protestant cause. But very, very nice figure, and definitely one worth picking up. I will definitely use him, even if I don't use him for who he is. Try and use him for Civil War stuff, maybe in one of my armies. Lovely, lovely sculpt. Next up is Louis de Balmor. He was a French general, and this is a very, very nice sculpt. Unfortunately, Warlord don't already make a 28mm version of this. Otherwise, I might have picked him up and used him for one of my ACW things. But a very, very nice sculpt. And again, worth picking up. Okay, last of all for the Protestants is Johann Gregor I of Saxony. Very, very nice sculpt. Very, very similar to the 28mm one that they already do. Lovely sculpt, very simple, pointing forward, can't beat it. Very interesting character. He was the Electorate of Saxony, as I said, and he tried to keep out of the fight. He didn't really want to pick a side. He turned down a couple of attempts at going to war, and in the end it was Count Tilly's invasion of Saxony as a result of him as a result of Johann trying to make an alliance with Sweden. Tilly invaded to stop that, and it obviously forced his hand. And rather than stopping him joining, it made it even worse. And he joined the Swedes, and then they went to war. And it was only when Gustav Adolphus was killed in action that he lost his taste for the battle, or lost his taste for war, and demanded it or requested a ceasefire with the Holy Roman Empire. And shortly after that, he then declared war on Sweden to get the Swedes off his land. So he just didn't want to fight unless it was to protect his homeland. But a very interesting character, a very nice sculpt, and another one to pick up. Okay, so the next up we've got the 5 Imperialist commanders for the 30 Years' War. We've got Octavia Piccola, Albert von Valenstein, Cardinal Ferdinand, Count Papenhyman, and Count Tilly. You'll have to forgive me if the pronunciation's a bit off, as they're very, very hard names to pronounce. But let's go and have a look at who they are and what we know them for. Next up is Octavia Piccola, again Italian, so excuse me for the pronunciation. Very similar to the 28mm cast that they already do. Very, very nice look. He was Italian born and joined the Spanish army. Began as a young lad as a pikeman and worked his way up to commanding the personal bodyguard of Valenstein. So very nice figure, very nice commander, and one quite nice to put on a command stand with Valenstein maybe. So this is Godfrey Papenhyman. He was again a very prestigious cavalry commander and would rise to the rank of field commander, or field marshal, sorry. Very nice figure, very much like the 28mm one, as I keep saying. I like that they keep using the same casts, as they really work for what they look like, or they do the job. Again, he was cavalry commander, and he earned his prestigiousness and was given the rank of, or given the honour of Count after fighting with Tilly against the Danish. But as all good cavalry commanders seem to do, he was killed at the front of a cavalry charge. So sad story for him, but a nice figure, and very nice to have him leading a unit of cuirassiers, I think. Next up we have Albert von Valenstein. He was an imperial general, and he was a very, very prestigious general. He fought many, many battles and was a very, very competent commander. However, despite everything, he seems to have fallen out of favour with the Empire, and in fact was murdered in his bed. So not a nice way for him to go, but a very nice figure, very, very similar to the 28mm one, as I keep saying. I like this one again, loving him in the armour, loving the poses. Yeah, very, very nice, and I like this one as well. Next up is Cardinal Ferdinand, again keeping with the 28mm version that they've done for this figure already. A very prestigious commander. It was the son of Philip III of Spain, and he was supposed to be a cardinal, and his father wanted him to keep to the clergy. However, war changed that, and he becomes a very renowned commander in the Netherlands, fighting for Spain. A very, very nice figure to have in the army, and a very cool commander. It's everything of doing 30 Years' War Imperials. A very good commander to have in your army. Okay, so finally we have Johannes, a class better known as Count Tilly. He was a key general along with Valenstein, and they were both the top generals of the Catholic or the Imperialistic forces. Again, this figure is a spitting image of the 28mm. Again, very nice sculpts. Loving the armour, loving that he's holding the Bible in the air. Very, very, very cool pose. He was joint command with Valenstein, and he fought very many battles. Obviously, he defeated a lot of the forces in Denmark. But obviously, when he went up against Gustav Adolphus, he did lose, and he actually lost his leg to a cannonball in a battle that they fought against each other in. And Gustavus Adolphus obviously respected him enough that he sent his own physician to tend to him, and unfortunately he died a few days afterwards. But a very nice key figure to have in your 30 Years' War army. Okay, so that's it. So they're the 10 commanders that are being released for the Protestant and Imperialist command ranges for the 30 Years' War. Some very, very nice figures. Definitely worth picking them up, even if you're not doing them for these periods. There's really nice casts and sculpts that could even be mixed in with the English Civil War, and obviously the English Civil War ones could be mixed in with the 30 Years' War. Very, very nice range, and I will definitely recommend picking them up.